Okay. 1 month after saying goodbye to Aaron Rodgers, the New York Jets addressed the quarterback position on the first day of free agent negotiating period, agreeing to terms Monday with former Pittsburgh Steelers backup Justin Fields. Sources telling our Adam Schefter Fields will sign a 2-year, $40 million contract that includes $30 million in guarantees. Chris Canty in NY with me. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you as well.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to start with you here, Stephen A. Big news. How much pressure is on Fields to show out with the Jets?
Well, I think his career's on the line. He was in Chicago. I know he's relatively young, but he was in Chicago, and then he moved on from Pittsburgh. And when he was in Pittsburgh, obviously there was some trepidation as to who would be the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe that's not the right word. There was just some uncertainty, rather, as it pertained to whether it was going to be him or it was going to be Russell Wilson. He starts the first 5 or 6 games, had a winning record, but yet throughout the entire process when Russell Wilson was injured to start the season, Mike Tomlin refused to name Justin Fields as the starter. So it gave us all cause to pause because we were saying, well, he's there with them. He's practicing with them. He sees them. We see him winning football games. We see him looking better than he did in Chicago. What the hell is the problem? And nevertheless, Tomlin wouldn't make that commitment. And then the second that Russell Wilson was inserted, he was the starter and remained the starter for the duration of the season. We hadn't seen Justin Fields again. So now you had Chicago, and we know that that was a dismal situation. Then you go to Pittsburgh, and now here you are in New York. Those would be 3 franchises. If it doesn't work here, I'm not trying to say that his career would be over, guys. That's not what I mean by it. CC and Shay, I don't mean it that way. I simply mean that looking at him as a starter in the National Football League, as the face behind center for a franchise, I think that narrative will come to an end if he doesn't succeed here with the New York Jets.
Well, Stephen A., it's hard for me to buy into that, especially when we see so many reclamation projects around the NFL with guys on their 4th team or more having an opportunity to be locked in as QB1 going into the 2025 season. We've seen it with Geno Smith. We've seen it with Sam Darnold. We've seen it with Baker Mayfield. The list goes on and on. So if it doesn't work out for Justin Fields, I don't know that this is the end of him being QB1 in terms of a team looking to him to be the starting quarterback unencumbered going into a season. Now, when it comes to the decision at the New York Jets, I think there's far more pressure on Aaron Glenn to be right about the decision to move off of Rodgers than it is for Justin Fields to be uber productive on the field. And what I mean by that is this. When Aaron Glenn had his introductory press conference, he said there were 3 characteristics that he was looking for in his quarterback. He wanted somebody that was mentally and physically tough. He wanted somebody that was a winner. He wanted somebody that was a leader. And so to sit here and say that Aaron Rodgers didn't fit that criteria when, in his mind, Justin Fields does, is a huge bet. Now, it's not to say that there isn't a lot to like about Justin Fields. Nobody's going to question his mental and physical toughness after what we saw in Chicago. Nobody's going to question his leadership after how he handled the demotion last year. What we will question is his ability to win and be an extension of the head coach in terms of establishing a program that will lead to sustained success. And that's why I think with this move that the New York Jets made yesterday, there is far more pressure on Aaron Glenn to be right than there is Justin Fields actually producing on the field.
Understood.
Yeah, I kind of agree with kind of both of you guys what you said, because if he doesn't get it right at the Jets, when was the last time the Jets did get it right with a quarterback? When was the last time Chicago got it right with a quarterback? And we didn't see enough of him, only 6 games in Pittsburgh, so we really don't know. A lot what you said, Canty, is true. You look at Baker Mayfield, he had some success early in Cleveland, not so much late. And then he goes to Carolina and he didn't look good. The same thing with Sam Darnold. Didn't have success at the Jets. He goes to Carolina. He didn't look well. He was a backup. And now he goes and he parlays that into a $100 million contract. But I think it's time for Justin Fields to show that he was the 11th pick in the draft 5 years ago. And now it's time for him to show that he is a competent quarterback. He missed some reads. Look, I'm not here to say that he was well coached in Chicago, because we don't believe that he was. But there are some things that he could do. He missed some big blitz pickups, Canty. You can't take those shots to the face. You got to be able to get down. You have to be able to slide the protection. You have to be able to read the defense, because you're not going to last long taking those kind of hell shots to the face. With that being said, there is some pressure to prove that he is a competent quarterback, Canty. He's going to have to show that, because if sooner or later we're going to stop making excuses. We gave him an excuse in Chicago. We gave him an excuse in Pittsburgh because we only saw him for 6 games. He was 4-2. And I thought it was a mistake for them to go to Russ, considering Justin Fields was playing so well. But I do think there's some pressure, and there's pressure on Aaron Glenn, as you mentioned, because that was his decision. He and the GM huddled up and said, you know what, let's take a quarterback, let's take Justin Fields. We believe that he's the guy that can help us compete, because at the end of the day, this is about Buffalo. You've got to unseat them. And if you can't go toe-to-toe with Josh Allen, you can't win that division. It's really that simple.
A couple of things before I get into it. I love the blazer, Shay. You copying off of what I wore the other day. I'm glad you saw that. I appreciate that. That's number one. Let's get that out the way. The American public needs to know that stuff. That's number one. Number two, I often sit up there and I tell people all the time, I'm brilliant, because I know I'm not. I listen to those who are. When it comes to football, I defer. This is what y'all love about me. That's why I make y'all laugh all the damn time, because I think I know something to tell y'all. Open y'all mouth and show me that I don't know. When it comes to football, not basketball, Shannon, football. But anyway, having said all of that, let's understand something. I want to go back to you, CC, because it's important. And I get your point, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm taking notes here from the both of y'all. Help me out here. Justin Fields was 4-2 as a starter, right? Since 2021, I think he ranks, it's like 29th amongst NFL quarterbacks in QBR since 2021. I got to pay attention to that, right? So that's a minus against him. The 4-2 record is a plus for him. His ability to run with the football is a plus for him. CC, here's where I'm going. Are you strong in your feelings just because of watching Justin Fields, or how much does Aaron Glenn have to do with your confidence, considering he game planned against Justin Fields on at least 5 occasions as a defensive coordinator in Detroit when Justin was with Chicago? So clearly he must have seen something that made him say, hey, I think we can do some good things with this brother right here. Help me out, fellas, in terms of deciphering what kind of role that plays in the confidence you might have in Justin Fields as a New York Jet under now head coach Aaron Glenn.
Well, S.A., my confidence in Justin Fields in 2025 is all about Aaron Glenn, because it certainly ain't about the Jets organization, like Shannon Sharp mentioned. But I will say this, when it comes to what we got from Justin Fields over the last 3 years, do y'all realize he had a higher QBR during that span than Aaron Rodgers? Higher QBR than Aaron Rodgers. 7,200 total yards of offense, 55 total touchdowns to only 21 interceptions. So it's not like Justin Fields can't play. It's just a matter of him being able to put it all together. And we've seen it time and time again in this league.